Okay, and we're live. Hi.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello. Hi everyone out there in YouTube land. I'm checking the comments. I'm trying to make sure I have everything squared away. Yep. So hello everyone. My name is Jonna. I'm a beauty style and lifestyle blogger here at Naturally Glam, where being glam comes naturally. And tonight I'm coming to you guys live. And I have two very special ladies with me, and we're going to talk on the topic skinny versus healthy. What's your focus? So, the topic for tonight was just kind of inspired by one of the ladies I actually met at YouTube Creator Day in DC, and we had to do this networking exercise during the event where we had to talk to someone we did not know before we got there, find out about their channel, and figure out a way that you could collaborate with the person. So the first person I talked to, well, actually the two people I talked to, they were like gamers. I couldn't figure it out. And so then I met Sarah, and she was like, she talked about her channel, which is about, which she'll talk more about it, but it's about nutrition, of course, and health, and her focus on, helping people to be healthier, not necessarily focusing on just body image, but just being healthy. And I thought that was great for my audience and what I want to, share and encourage my audience to do, which is to just live a healthier lifestyle. So that was perfect, and that's kind of where the idea kind of sparked for this. And then I thought about my blogger boo, Deanna, who is a fashion blogger, but she's also a stylist, image consultant, and I know that she works with people on helping them find their personal style. And for a lot of people, and I know myself personally, it's kind of hard to style yourself and feel confident and feel like you're on trend sometimes when you feel like, clothes and the fashion industry in general is geared towards, a certain body type, and it's kind of hard to find yourself in this industry. Find clothes you feel like fit well, flatter your body. And so I thought they would be two great ladies to have together tonight on the chat. So thank you guys who have already joined in our viewing. Hello, hello, hello. Feel free to drop a comment and let us know where you are tuning in from. How this is going to kind of go is we're going to chat. I have some questions for the ladies already that we're going to talk about, and then we're going to leave some time at the end for you guys who are watching live to ask your questions. I mean, you have a dietitian here and a fashion stylist here who pretty much could be charging you to answer your questions. And they're here to answer your questions. So take advantage, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So like I said, feel free to go ahead and chat in the live chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And we're going to start with Sarah telling us a little bit about herself.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk with all of you about this. My name is Sarah. I'm a registered dietitian, and my basic story, what I'm all about, well, I always struggled with body image and weight and stuff growing up. I went on my first diet when I was 11. I was in dance, so that probably didn't help with my body image all that much. But as I was going to school to become a dietitian, I really realized that my focus was on weight and not necessarily on being healthy. So as I kind of realized that and worked through it myself going through school, now on my own with my YouTube channel and with my one-on-one clients, I really try to help show people that, eating healthy, living a healthy lifestyle doesn't have to be super complicated. You can totally do it, and to help people get that freedom that comes from focusing on your health and just taking care of your body rather than being so wrapped up in weight and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of me and what I do.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you. It's so cool. Next, I have my girl, Deanna. Deanna, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
All right. Hey, guys. I am Deanna of Naturally Creole. You guys may know me from my YouTube channel or Instagram, social media, Twitter. I'm Naturally Creole everywhere. So I'm a fashion blogger, and I do include lifestyle as well. And I am a stylist part-time and image consultant. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because growing up, I've always had, I guess you can say, body image issues with being very thin. And even at my age now with 3 kids under my belt, I'm still very thin. And so I wanted to kind of just encourage other women and young girls and teens to kind of just love yourself the way that you are. So that kind of prompted me to go more into the fashion and the image, the image consultant thing. So I decided to make my tagline for my blog. It's fashion does not have to come naturally, but it should be authentically you. And the reason why I say that is because I'm not so much big on trends. I think fashion in your style needs to be what you feel comfortable with. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to keep up with what's current and what's in, and spending thousands of dollars on something that's name brand when you really kind of don't like it. You just buy it because everybody else has it. So that's kind of how it started for me. And so I guess I'll talk a little bit when it's time a little bit more about my personal things I'm going through as far as weight and body image and things like that.
Cool. Well, thank you both ladies for joining me in this topic. I know, when I thought about this, I thought, this can be like an awkward, uncomfortable conversation, which I think is why, a lot of people did respond to the topic. And a lot of people said, oh my goodness, this is something that needs to be talked about. This is something that people need to talk about more. We need to talk about more because it is kind of one of those like unspoken things, and sometimes it can be challenging to, go ahead and admit, oh, I have body image issues. It's like as much as you don't want to admit it, we all, do struggle with that or have struggled with that at some point. So kudos to you guys for being willing to have this conversation. So first off, I want to talk about just the diet industry as a whole, because I think that the diet industry is sort of, I want to say the blame, but they are capitalizing, I feel like, off of a lot of women, especially, even men though now, they're capitalizing on people's body image issues. You don't see a lot of diets that talk about being healthy and living a healthy lifestyle. Most, diet plans or diet books, a lot of times the focus or the catch line is like, lose 10 pounds in 2 hours, or, get the skinny diet, the flat tummy. I don't want to say any names, but teas that say they're going to help your tummy get flat. I'll say it like that. Like all of these things we're kind of being bombarded by these things. And the commercial of the girl who's, she's, a little plump, and then like 3 days later she's like slim and trim. And, the diet industry is really pushing that message that, you need to lose weight, you need to lose more weight. But I really wanted to find out and really gearing this question towards Sarah, because she is the registered expert. Like, she spent a lot of time in school. For this, I was reading her bio. I was like, my goodness. That's a lot. I had no idea that you had to have all that, time, and experience to be a registered dietitian. So I was like, yeah, kudos to her. But, are those things really healthy? Are we doing ourselves a disservice when we, start doing some of these diets? Are people doing themselves a disservice?
Right. Well, with the teas and the pills and the diet products and plans and everything, I mean, you're right. They definitely do focus a lot on weight loss, quick, that sort of thing. And the reason they do that is because, unfortunately, that is what sells for a lot of people, and that's what a lot of people want. But for one, anything that seems too good to be true, the general rule is it probably is, but you already know that. It's not any surprise that they aren't really great for you, but I think the one thing about them that is really frustrating, I guess, for people is even if you do find some success losing weight, because a lot of programs, it's just like reducing the amount that you're eating, replace one meal with X product, and then you automatically drop weight because you're eating less food. But, it's all wrapped around their product. The one problem with that is it's not something sustainable, right? So even if you do lose weight and are quote-unquote successful with it, unless you're going to do that for the rest of your life, which you're probably not, it's not going to stick because you're just going to go back to what you were doing before. They never really taught you how to have a healthy lifestyle in the first place, and that's when it becomes a cycle. You know, and some of the products are less healthy than others, you know, as far as whether they're just kind of like they're not going to help you, they're not going to hurt you, or could potentially be dangerous. You know, some of these pills and stuff can have all kinds of crazy things in them. But the big thing is that they're not setting you up for success, and that actually helps them out because, you know, you go on, then you go off when it's over, weight comes back, and then you jump back on again. So it creates this cycle, and a lot of times we feel like it's our fault that it's not working or we went back to what we were doing before, but really it's that whatever you were doing, they didn't help you or prepare you to be successful long term. So it's not your fault when those things don't work, and they're really not the best long-term solution for weight loss or health overall. So.
Okay, that's good to know. I think for everybody that's watching, you heard it. You heard it. Please, I hope you heard it. You know, I think a lot of times some of the marketing will have you believing that like this is going to really help you, but you have to really think, is this something I'm going to be able to sustain long term? And if it's not, then it's something that you really want to consider before you spend a lot of your time and money and you're doing these yo-yo things and you're constantly trying to, you know, strive and think about what is it that you're really trying to get. Are you trying to be healthy and lose weight over time so just your overall health improves, or are you just looking for something, you know, a quickie? You know, quickies nobody likes, you know, they never really work because as soon as you get done, you know, are you going to go right back to your unhealthy lifestyle, which is exactly what you're saying. Now on the flip side of that is the style and fashion industry, right? So you are also getting these images, you know, when you see commercials, and even Deanna and I were having this conversation at one time where we were like, you know what, not even the skinny girl is in now. Now you have to have like a Kim Kardashian booty, you know, you got to be out here getting butt injections, you know. That's even, you know, this sort of morphed idea of what a woman's body is supposed to look like. And I've seen, you know, the conversation being had that, you know, now that more women are having these sort of like manufactured bodies, that men and women, they don't even know what like a real body looks like, and that, you know, women are different. We all have different shapes and sizes and, you know, body types or whatever. And we're kind of being programmed that if our body doesn't look like this, then we are not attractive, and of course that creates, you know, other issues. So, but then on the flip side is the idea of some of the campaigns that like your Lane Bryant's and companies like that have kind of pushed forward, which is like promoting positive body image for people who are not necessarily the ideal body type. And some people feel like, well, if you tell people that by looking at them, you say, okay, that person is overweight. By telling them that, you know, they're beautiful or plus is equal in some of these other campaigns and promoting body positivity, that you're encouraging people to stay overweight, to stay unhealthy. So either one of you guys, if you want to chime in on that, I know Deanna, being that you know, work as a stylist, style people, or even from Sarah, from your perspective, like what is your opinion about that whole conversation?
I might need you to restate the question, but are you referring to how some brands are kind of gearing towards the fake bodies type thing, or how like, they're now promoting?
Like the Lane Bryant had the like plus is equal, or somebody had it where it was like I'm no angel or something like that. That was like anti-Victoria's Secret, but it was geared towards plus size women.
Okay, I got you.
People feel like, oh, well, if you're telling the plus size women that they're, you know, then you're encouraging them to be unhealthy or stay unhealthy.
Well, I did not personally see the ad that you're referring to, but I kind of think it works the same way as far as how people say, even though you're skinny, you're not necessarily healthy. Just because you're thicker and bigger does not necessarily mean you're unhealthy. I think it all depends on, your diet intake, if you're exercising, if you live a practice a healthy lifestyle, and if you are comfortable, if you are doing those things, and you might be bigger or you might be smaller, I think as long as you are comfortable with the way you look, I think that's what matters. So I think it's kudos to those brands who try to say you don't necessarily have to fit this mold. And I think Dove does that as well. So kudos to those brands who do that, because they kind of recognize that not everybody is going to fit in this cookie cutter mold, in this shape that society tried to push on us. So I think it's a good thing, and I don't necessarily see it as you are promoting obesity. Like I said, it all depends on the individual person in their lifestyle. Now, if they are going to McDonald's every day or any other fast food every day and just eating, whatever they want, and they're not practicing a healthy lifestyle, maybe not exercising on a regular basis, then that's something totally different.
Right, I totally agree with that, because we do have a misconception just in our culture overall that weight and health are the same thing, and that's certainly not the case, because, I mean, like you said, you just by looking at someone, you don't know what their habits are. You don't know what they're eating. You don't know what their exercise, their sleep, their stress, all that kind of stuff. You can't, tell just by someone's weight or body shape or size or any of those things, what is actually going on in their body and how they live their life. And so I think it's really important that people realize that, because a lot of people do pass judgment on people who are bigger or smaller or outside of whatever they consider to be the ideal, as, well, they're obviously not doing what they should be doing, or whatever people think, but you really don't know. And, I think that is the biggest thing for people, and that's what I always try to tell, my clients, is that we want to focus on your habits. Your habits are the goal, what you're eating, how you're moving your body, all those kinds of things. It's not about weight. It's not about a certain size, because, if you're taking care of your body, and everything is going the way it should, then you're going to fall into where your body should naturally be, and that's going to be the best place for you in the end. So
I agree. I think that's perfect. I can't say it better. I agree 100%. Because you can be any size healthy, and you can be any size unhealthy. So now, what about? This is an interesting question, because I remember a few years ago I wrote a blog post for, I think it was Parade, about the 5 reasons why you should eat healthy even when you're not trying to lose weight. And so many people were like, what, I didn't think about it, but you're right. Because sometimes I think the only time people really focus on eating healthy or trying to eat healthy, or even recognize sometimes that they need to focus on their health, is because they have gained weight. But then there are plenty of people who have other maybe if they're a person that they don't do well with animal products or whatever, they're discovering that after oh, do we freeze? Oh, wait a minute. Am I unfroze?
yeah, you're good for me now.
Okay. My thing said I was having technical difficulties, so I hope that didn't freeze up on anybody out there in the internet streets. So I think a lot of times people forget about it until they have some sort of health issue, and then they find out that it is connected to their diet. So what do you guys think about, being concerned about your health or healthy eating when, it's not necessarily related to weight loss?
Right. Well, I mean, I think that is, and that is a big part, I think, of what, having conversations like this is good, because we do have that weight and health so tightly connected in so many people's mind. You're right. A lot of people don't think about it. If they're happy with their weight the way it is, then they don't think about eating healthy. But it really is important to have that healthy lifestyle. And when we realize that it's not about weight, that's when I think we can start focusing on those things, because it's not, weight isn't the only thing. Your blood sugar, your heart health, all your organs, all your systems, and you might not even realize that something's going on, but a lifetime, of unhealthy habits can really make a big difference when you do start to get older in what direction your life, continues to go, and whether you have chronic health conditions that you have to deal with. And that's not something a lot of people talk about. You're never probably not going to see, one of these ads talking about you want to be healthy when you're 60 or whatever, because they want to talk about getting in the dress right now. But that is really what it comes down to. And we're seeing even more and more people having health problems earlier and earlier. Even kids, people in their 20s, people in their 30s, having these problems that people used to not have until they were much older, just because the lifestyle has become so unhealthy, and it really does affect our body. And what I always tell people is that you want to be able to live your life and do the things you want to do and have the freedom and not have the constraint of health problems or not being able to move around the way you want to. And so when you really think about that, being able to go the places you want to go, play with, little kids that are in your family, whether it's your own kids, grandkids, nieces and nephews, whatever, those are the kinds of things that, kind of come into play when you think about taking care of yourself long term.
Deanna, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to actually admit that I was one of those who did not kind of focus on health so much, as far as my diet and what I was eating, until a few years ago. My oldest son was diagnosed with diabetes type 1. So I didn't start really paying attention to what we were actually eating until around then, because I had to start paying attention to what he was eating. Mm-hmm. And then I started, kind of focusing on, my own eating habits and what I was eating and things like that. But also I deal with symptoms of, or I suffer from symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis. So, and it has gotten progressively worse within the past, I'll say, year. And so now I'm like really paying attention to what I'm eating and things like that. So mine is not so much. I'm of course not trying to lose weight, because I'm already thin enough. But I started paying attention to it because now I know at my age now it really matters, and the fact that what I eat now, it also can affect the inflammation. So I was one of those who really didn't, oh no, I'm thin enough, I can eat what I want, I don't really gain weight too much. So I didn't really focus on that, and I regret that. So now, I kind of teach my kids, what you eat now, it really determines what's going to happen in the long run, especially my son with diabetes. I mean, he's 18 now. He's not trying to listen. But I'm just going to keep letting him know, keep educating him, so that he'll learn, too, that it's very important early on, not just when you become 20, 25, 30. You need to start pretty much when you can recognize what foods are and which foods are healthy and which are not.
Now, Sarah, is that something that you find yourself, having to do more and more often, is kind of reteach people how to, even just know what to eat and what not to eat, how to even shop for food? I watched a video the other day about the new nutrition facts labels, and I was like, wow, I've never seen anybody really educate people on that type of thing. What do the nutritional facts really mean for you? Until, I was, overweight, and my doctor sent me to a dietitian, a nutritionist. And then they sat down with me and they explained, this is what a pound of fat looks like, and this is what a card deck of chicken breast looks like, and this is how you read the nutrition label, and check the fiber. And nobody sat down with me. I don't remember in any of the school that I went to for all 12 and beyond years, even when we took home ed, where they teach you how to cook and they teach you how to sew or whatever, that stuff that they taught you. I don't ever remember there being anybody to teach how you read a nutrition label. So, and if your parents never got taught that, then it's sort of like generational, it's just getting passed down. So how important do you think that is to how often do you see that people just don't even really get it or don't know how important you feel like that is that people are educated on something as simple as like before you pick up that box or bag, do you understand really what's in it?
Right, yeah, that's a big problem is people just not really knowing how to feed themselves, and a big part of it is because we've had such this big shift, you know, in a relatively short amount of time of people going from cooking dinners at home to, you know, things coming out of a box or a bag or a package, add water, put it in the microwave, whatever, and it's dinner. And so I think that is something that people really don't know about. And part of it is because, you know, in the past, it wasn't necessarily that hard to figure out what to eat, you know. You had food, fruits, vegetables, meat, eggs, you know, grains. It wasn't that confusing. But now with all the packaged products that a lot of people are eating, it becomes a lot more complicated to try to figure this stuff out. So what I always tell people to do is first off, just start with the real foods because that's the basics. That's what your body knows how to work with. And then you end up reading a lot less labels. So I think that's a problem, and also people not knowing how to cook is another part of that, you know, that's kind of come off. You know, I've talked to a mother of 2 kids, 30 years old, who's never held a knife before, you know, and how is she going to cut up vegetables and prepare dinner for her kids if she doesn't even have very basic skills, you know, and it's been such a big change from like so fast from like my grandmother who had a garden, had a root cellar, you know, and grew all this stuff and knew how to cook everything, to now where a lot of people come out into their, you know, adult life and they don't even know how to do this stuff. So it is something that I think we're seeing more and more is people not having those skills that's so basic and essential of just knowing how to feed yourself.
That is true. I had an opportunity to interview, and now of course her name escapes me, but I had an opportunity to interview. Of course, I just can't remember. But anyway, she's like a celebrity chef. She's on like Food Channel, Food Network, something like that. And if I can remember her name, I'll say it. But I had an opportunity to interview her, and they were talking about encouraging people to cook more at home. And why is it a challenge for the millennials to, you know, cook more at home? Why are we eating out so much, even though we really don't have the money? Like we're most, you know, the millennials are broke, but they're still eating out more. What is going on? Why is that? And she mentioned that too. Like they just don't know how to cook. They don't know how to cook. You know, they came from the generation where like the microwave dinner was created, and some of their parents really, you know, out of convenience, you know, they're working full time. You know, parents are, you know, trying to juggle, you know, career and kids, and they don't have time. So it's either the fast food or, you know, a Stouffer's lasagna in the oven, and the kids don't really even know how to cook. So when they move out on their own, they still don't know how to cook. So the easiest thing is to, you know, run to the Chinese place, to the pizza place, you know, and go out to eat. And then, of course, the other conundrum is, like, all their friends, you know, there's a social eating. So everybody's going out to eat. Everybody's going out to the bar to have drinks, and nobody's really cooking anymore. So they were trying to encourage people to, like, you know, make meals at home and stuff. So I see definitely how that ties in. That was just an interesting conversation. I think about my stepdaughter. She'll be 20 tomorrow. Oh my gosh! It's just every time I say it, it just sounds so weird. Because I'm 25, so I don't know how. I'm still trying to figure it out because I'm 25 and I don't know. But I just say her dad is old, and I didn't birth her, so I can keep saying that and get away with it. But you know, I just think about her, and you know, I'm glad that she actually had an interest in cooking. So she wanted to go to culinary school at one point in her childhood, you know, because your kids want to be 30 different things before they actually graduate. And then sometimes it still changes. And look, we're grown people and we still like discovering our purpose or whatever. But at one point she wanted to be a chef. So we kind of like were signing her up for, you know, different classes. And she took culinary arts in school. And her idea was that she wanted to open a healthy soul food restaurant. And I thought that was like the cutest thing ever. And then she decided she wanted to be a nurse, and she killed all our dreams because we're all like, yes, do it. And then she decided she wanted to be first a hairstylist and then a nurse. So we're stuck with the nurse, and that's fine. But you know, just the thought of kids, you know, being encouraged to cook and try different things and learn how to eat healthy things, which is sort of like a break, because the reason why she wanted to do it was because she struggled with obesity, because in her mother's home, healthy eating wasn't a thing, you know, and especially in the African American community, in this country anyway, you know, soul food is a part of our culture. And, you know, frying things and cooking your greens in pork fat and macaroni and cheese and potato salad, and, you know, like, that's a part of our culture. And sometimes it's hard to break away from that to focus on eating healthy, because we feel like some people feel like they're sort of like disowning, you know, their culture. Like, if your grandma makes the fried chicken, you feel bad. Like, if you say, well, can I have baked chicken? It's like you're almost being a little you know, you feel like you're being disrespectful. Like, you're supposed to eat grandma's macaroni and cheese because she slaved over the hot stove, so you eat it, you know. So I know that sometimes there's that struggle of people just feeling like, what do I do? You know, how do I kind of break this cultural or generational, you know, thing to, like, go and eat more, you know, healthier foods, especially if you didn't, you know, weren't raised like that, you know.
Right, right, yeah, and I mean, I've experienced that in my own family too, just, you know, trying to make changes and teach my parents and stuff. But a lot of times, a lot of those, you know, like, kind of grandma's food that we think about, a lot of times they can be better. It's just about going back to the real food version, you know, because for me, this is something that I've made a video about on my channel, is, you know, we got a pig share from a local farmer who raises his pigs the right way. They're in great conditions. They're healthy animals, as opposed to a lot of the stuff that goes on in factory farms and stuff. And so the meat is a lot healthier. And we get lard from that pig, and I rendered it down, and I use that to cook stuff with. So it's something that people are surprised to hear about, like a dietitian who cooks with lard. Like, that doesn't sound right. But, you know, you know, but it's, you know, when you go back to the basics and the real food stuff, a lot of times that stuff that we think about as, like, you know, the comfort food, grandma's food, it really comes from a place of it can be good, you know what I mean? It can be good for you. And I think another thing too is remembering, like, the stuff that you eat at a family get-together isn't necessarily what you're eating every day. So there's definitely room to have those things in there. You know, it's not about being perfect. It's just about what you're doing most of the time. And that's the way that you can manage that, is, you know when there's a special occasion, and there's, you know, regular everyday life, and kind of fitting those together so you can have both.
Now, this question is more so geared toward Deanna as our resident fashion stylist. Because I know, and I know this is for me this is me personally, so this is kind of a selfish question, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who has this question or has this struggle. So you are, for those of us, you're trying to lose weight, or maybe you are, you know, just trying to improve your personal style, and you go to the store. And so, for example, like, I go to the store, and I know at home I have a pair of jeans that's a size 10, and then I go to the store, and then I try on a pair of jeans that's a size 10, and I can barely get them up past my knee. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I feel like the fashion guys are against me, and they just don't want me to be great. So talk to us more so about, you know, when you're trying to find your style, you're trying to find clothes that fit you and that you feel like will look good on you, right? Because everybody has these different body types, and maybe you are overweight and you're trying to lose weight, but you still want to. I find so many women who, and men too, you know, they're so unhappy with their body that they don't even try to dress well, because they just feel like, you know, that is for when I'm skinny, or that's for when I lose weight, or they don't want to even shop. They don't want to dress well because they feel like there's not really clothes for them that's going to look good on them. or they just feel like I think some of it subliminally people feel like they don't deserve to look good because they're conscious about their body. So for those people, or just for people who may just be having some body issues, or they feel like maybe they don't have the Kim Kardashian booty, or whatever, Janet Jackson, well, not Janet Jackson anymore because she's pregnant, but you guys know what I mean, like the Janet Jackson, like, six-pack or whatever. Like, what do you say, how do you help those people, find a personal style, find clothes that they will feel comfortable and feel good in?
I think, first of all, people need to know there's body types, okay? There are 4 main body types. But there are other body types out there because everybody don't fit into these 4 little categories. But there are, the apple shape, which is more you're, bigger on top. And there's pear shape where you might be kind of more round in the midsection. And there's banana, which is me, so you're more like you're straight up and down. And then there's hourglass. Those are the 4 main. I think if you know, first off, what your body type is, it's like with anything you do, you gotta kind of educate yourself to do better, to be better at, right? So you need to know, what is my body type? There are ways to kind of conceal with clothes, areas that they're just not your favorites. So there are certain tops you can buy that'll help kind of hide the midsection. Like if you buy a shirt that's more scrunchy. What do you call it? Like the scrunchie in the midsection area? Ruching, yes, I couldn't think of the name. Ruching in the midsection area, or even dresses will help kind of conceal that area and will draw the eye of somebody else looking at you in a different direction. So there's a way for you to kind of balance out, because ultimately what you're doing is balancing the top half of your body to the bottom half. It's going to create more of a silhouette that you're going to be appreciative of. So I think it's about educating yourself, just like with the diet and the food. You gotta kind of educate yourself as to what is healthy, what does it mean to cook real food. You got to do the same thing with buying clothes. There are clothing items for everybody out there. You just have to be willing to want to work for it. And to get with somebody, if you don't know or you don't even know where to start with a stylist or image consultant or somebody that maybe you admire how they dressed and you might be a similar body type. Look to them and ask questions. Don't be afraid to say, oh, where did you buy that? Or, I didn't really think about, how that top looked so cute on you and we kind of the same, because some people don't like their shoulders. They might be more broad, and there's a way to kind of draw the eye away from that. So you got to know, start with learning what your body type is, and that can be a whole nother Google Hangout section, a topic, because it's just so much involved.
You're going to do a Google Hangout?
Maybe.
I'm going to text them after this.
Yeah, if you want it. I know something that Sarah had said early on is we weren't really taught how to be healthy long term. I think it's the same thing with body image. I mean, some people are just not taught how to appreciate themselves. And I think it's more of a mental health issue, and I'm not saying mental health as in, you're crazy. It's just it's a mental thing. Some people are just, not really told, or you're beautiful the way that you are, or learn to appreciate yourself the way that you are. And some people may hear a lot of negative things about themselves growing up, so you kind of start to believe those things. And it's all a mind thing. I think it's the same thing with eating healthy and being consistent. It's all a mind thing. So yeah, I think you start with education first, and if you don't know where to start with a nutritionist or a fashion stylist or something like that,
Perfect. This is why I have you guys here. Like, this is the best of both worlds. You make sure you're healthy on the inside with Sarah, and then you make sure you show that healthiness on the outside with Deanna.
Right.
Boom. There you go. All right, so we do have a couple of questions from our viewers, so thank you guys so much for dropping your questions. So this question comes from Chelsea. I hope I'm saying that correctly. In Dallas, Texas, which is cool because I think somebody's getting ready to move to Dallas, Texas, maybe. So this is Chelsea in Dallas. Her question is, how can you have a well-balanced lifestyle while being in college and on a college budget? I have gained a lot of weight since coming in. Most of my meals are something I can eat fast and get to my next task I have to do. That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great one. Well, I think one thing with being in college, it kind of sounds like, I'm not sure if Chelsea is still eating a lot in the campus dining halls or if she's, preparing her own food. But either way, I think the first thing when you're on a college budget is really kind of getting the most bang for your buck when it comes to your vegetables. So when you buy stuff in season with any produce, it's going to be cheaper than if it's shipped from, a million miles away. If there is a farmer's market in your town, when I was in college, we had a great farmer's market, and so that was really great because you can get such good quality stuff for a really good price. And I even volunteered at the market, and a lot of times I'd get free food at the end if they had extra vegetables that they didn't sell. And, if you have a head of lettuce, it's not going to last till next week. So that can be like a little inside way to get some free food. But I think the other thing is thinking about the fact that you can do some really basic things and get really good tasting food that's fast. So one thing that I did in school was that I only cooked like 2 or 3 nights a week because I was busy, right? You might have meetings in the evening or evening classes. Your schedule's not necessarily a quote-unquote normal schedule. So what I would do is, since I was just cooking for myself, I would cook, 2 or 3 nights a week, a portion that would feed 4 or 6 people, and then I could have that for lunches and dinners, the following days. So it didn't take a lot of time to get my lunch ready or get my dinner ready, but, it was still really healthy and it was homemade stuff. And you can even take that to the next level if you're not someone who wants to eat the same thing for lunch and dinner for a few days in a row. I don't mind that, but I know some people don't really like that, is to save it for later. So, you probably have a freezer, freeze stuff, put it away, and then it's like your own homemade convenience meals. You can put stuff away for later, and then you can just pull something out of the freezer when you don't have time, heat it up, thaw it, whatever, and that can help it go really quickly too. And using the bulk bins at your grocery store, really look at price. Just don't assume the bulk bins are cheaper because sometimes they're not. But if you look at that stuff and you cook stuff from scratch, then you really can save money, and you can find the time to do it if you cook large batches all at once.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, our next question comes from Cats and Pets, and her question is, for anyone just starting out cooking, what are some basics to learn fast?
Okay, so basic cooking things, I think the first thing is basic knife skills. That will save you so much time, because a big thing with cooking when people are new to it is it does take them a while, because I can throw a dinner together really quick, but if you don't have those basic skills, it's going to take you much longer. So, just learning some basic knife skills. You can find stuff online. A lot of times you can also find like cooking classes in your community where you can just learn those basic knife skills. That's a really great long-term investment in yourself. That's going to save you so much time every single time you're cooking. And then as far as recipes, I think roasting is a good technique to learn. So roasted vegetables, roasted potatoes. Basically all you do, you put your oven on like 400, 425. You take whatever vegetable or potato or whatever, you toss it with some sort of cooking fat like olive oil, something like that. You can add salt, pepper, other spices or herbs, whatever you want to do. And it's a great way to cook almost any vegetable, and it makes everything taste awesome. And it's really easy. You can do a couple big sheets of stuff, and it doesn't take a lot of time. You just pop it in the oven for 15 minutes if it's like something really delicate, like maybe asparagus or something, maybe closer to 30 minutes for like potatoes or something that's a little more heartier, but you can use it across the board. Knowing how to cook eggs, that's a good basic to learn, because eggs don't have to be for breakfast. You can have them for lunch and dinner too. They are cheap. They cook up really quickly. They taste good. So I think those are some good things too. And a stir fry. If you can just do stir fry, because then if you have extra veggies in the back of the fridge at the end of the week, you just put it all in there, stir fry it up. If you have some meat or something you want to throw in or something else with some rice, it can come together really quickly, and it can also help make sure that you're not wasting extra food, and that can also help on the money side of things too.
Those are good tips. Do
Hmm.
you have any tips? Or we are both over here like,
Well, no, I was actually in my head thinking about, okay, a roasting. Yeah, I have a good recipe for that, really, really quick, because I learned this in some cooking magazine. I don't know why I'll be getting these magazines to my house, but it was broccoli. For roasted broccoli, you just drizzle it with some extra virgin olive oil or avocado or whatever. Sprinkle some crushed red pepper on it and put it in the oven for like 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and it is delicious. Like, it's the easiest thing ever, and it's healthy because you're not like draining it of all the nutrients that you need. So, yeah, good tip, Sarah.
those are good. Those are so good. And the thing is, those things are like, they're very simple. I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of it myself sometimes, I kind of beat myself up because like I'll go on Pinterest and I'll see all these like very cool recipes, and I am a recipe hoarder. I'm not gonna lie. I have tons of recipe books. I enjoy recipes while I never ever make the recipe. I just like the inspiration and just ideas, just getting different ideas of things to cook. But I think sometimes we get so caught up in thinking like we have to make these like complicated, meals all the time, and we forget about like just some really basic stuff like eggs. Like, that's so basic.
Right, right.
Like, basic is basic of all. So I think that that's a really good point. It's just kind of like, keeping things simple. Yeah, I think people automatically think if I'm cooking something at home, like it has to be like this fancy recipe and I have to have like truffle oil and all this, saffron and stuff. And it's like, no, you can keep it really simple, really basic. And I think also people just have to be quaint with like eating the same thing over, multiple times. I think sometimes people get freaked out about like having to eat leftovers, eating the same thing over and over again. And when you're, especially for like somebody that's a college student, or you're just a busy mom, or you're busy working, whatever you're doing, sometimes you just have to eat for utility. And what you don't want to do is have like a lot of unhealthy snacks. So I do remember that from when I would see the nutritionist or went to a dietitian, was she would suggest things that I could like prepare in large quantities that store it well, and that I could just grab and go, and I didn't have to think about it. Because what happens when you're out and about and you're hungry and you have to think about it and you don't have anything, you're out of desperation. you're gonna go to the Chick-fil-A, or you're going to go to the vending machine and get, a candy bar. Or if somebody now this is another thing that happens at my job, is when people offer you food, if you don't have anything, you're more likely to take it. Like if I bring my own lunch and there's lunch, at work, it's easier for me to say, no, I already brought my lunch. And people are like okay with it. If you don't have anything, it's easier for people to like sway you, or for you to even sway yourself, because you don't have anything prepared. So thinking of things that are quick and easy and on hand, yeah, you might have to eat the same thing over and over again a couple times during the week, but you'll be better for it in the end. I like to prepare like big batches of things on Sunday and just kind of eat the same thing over and over during the week. At least I know what's in it. And then like on the weekend, I'll do something fun. Like today, like I have some, lean turkey, like marinating. I'm going to make a stir fry, like Sarah said, with some brown rice noodles. Like this will be my and I'm going to put some red pepper flakes on it. Thank you, Deanna, for mentioning that. So those are the times when you have time, you can be a little more adventurous, but, don't beat yourself up or not do it because it's like, oh, I don't want to eat the same thing over and over again. Because I know some people really hate having to eat the same thing over and over again.
And another thing with that, if you feel like it's the same thing, you can make it different depending on what kind of herbs, spices, hot sauce, soy sauce, all these different things. It can be the same stuff, but it can taste different if you season it differently too. So.
Now, that's a good point. Now, Letitia has, because I normally eat these turkey chops the same way every time, but this time I'm doing something different by slicing them up and putting them in a stir fry, something totally different. Okay, now Leticia, I hope I'm saying that right. Her question is, how do I count net carbs? I recently was told that I am diabetic, but I have been given the opportunity to change that with diet and exercise.
Okay, well, I'll share, I guess, my dietitian-ness, and then we can move on to the practical because Deanna has experience with, doing it real life with her son. So, as far as net carbs, the basic idea behind that is subtracting out the fiber because we don't digest fiber. It just, goes right through our digestive system. Some people say you can just subtract the fiber out from the total carbs. Some people say half. So divide the fiber in half and subtract it out. You can do it that way. Some people say, no, just count the carbs as they are. It's easier that way. So it depends on what your doctor is recommending or your dietitian, and what they tell you to do. I would go with whatever they say. But that's kind of the basic idea behind it is subtracting the fiber from the total amount of carbohydrate in that food. And I think, too, with my big thing that I always tell people, because with diabetes, it can feel like a lot of people feel like I can't eat what I want or I can't have the kind of things that I want. But it's not that you can't have any certain food. It's just switching around the portions and understanding which foods have carbs and which foods don't. Maybe you can't eat, half a birthday cake, but you certainly can have a small piece and you can fit that in, to what you're eating. So it's kind of like a little bit of a puzzle of fitting the pieces together, but don't feel like you can't have your favorite foods because you definitely can. And whoever you're working with as far as your healthcare team, they can help you figure out how to do that and how to make it happen.
Now I have one question, just a general question, and you guys can both of you guys can answer this question. So, what is the best? Because I want to ask both of you guys. So, for Sarah, what is the best way for someone, regardless of where they are, because they may not be where you are? Because of course, if you're in Virginia, you should be seeing Sarah. But if you're not, and you need to find a dietitian or a nutritionist, like, how do people go about even finding someone? Like, I know when I had a nutritionist, it was a referral from my physician. So when I went to see the nutritionist, I paid my copay, and it was just like that. But I had a friend of mine recently asked me, like, well, I want a nutritionist, I want a dietitian. Do you know anybody? And I'm like, I really don't know anybody. And they wanted somebody local. I said, gosh, I really don't even know what to tell you or how to tell you. She's just looking for someone to help her, eat clean and go to the grocery store with her and show her how to shop and these types of things. She really, really wants to eat healthier and, help her husband lose weight. And she has a small toddler, so she's trying to prepare more home-cooked meals for her. So, like, how does somebody even go about finding a dietitian in their area?
Sure. Well, one cool thing is that now with the internet, you're not necessarily locked into your local area. Like, I meet with people, I do all of my practice virtually, so I meet with people via Skype, via telephone, so they can be wherever, and we can make it work. So definitely remember that there are people working online like myself and others, so it doesn't have to be someone near you. If you want someone near you, then doctors are a good place to go. Usually they'll have someone that they refer to, or they can at least point you in the right direction. Another place to look is eatright.org. I'll type that into the chat, but that is the website for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. It's like the big group for dietitians. So they have a thing on there where you can search by locality, and so it'll pull people up. Usually it's people like me who are in private practice. So that's a good place to look as well. Those are kind of the first places that I would go. And also, talk to the people in your community, because this is something that I'm sure someone who's worked with a dietitian, whether it's someone through their doctor's office or their hospital, and those are the best people to find out because they've worked with those people and they can really tell you whether they're a good person or not. And the one thing that's nice about online that I like, and that I've found with my clients, is if that person does have a blog or have a YouTube channel or social media, it can be a really good way to figure out if you're going to like that person. Because, when you work with a doctor or a nurse or a dietitian or whoever, it's not just about the information. It's also about finding someone that fits with you and that your personalities mesh together right and you can work together. So if you can find someone who has an online presence, even if it's just an Instagram or something like that, that can help you start to gauge, like, do they know what they're talking about, but also are we going to work well together? Because that's a big piece of making the changes you want to make, is finding someone that you connect with personally.
That was actually part of the question I wanted to ask, was like, well, how do you know if it's a person you want to work with? So I'm glad you answered that piece of it, and that is a great idea as far as the social media piece of it. So the same question sort of to you, Deanna. So if somebody is looking for help with their style, personal style, or their overall image, like what do you suggest people look for? How can people find a stylist? And what are some things that people can look for? How do they know that they, found a good stylist or the right one for them, I guess?
Well, they don't have to look anymore because I'm here. So, but no, I don't know, like, because I don't know of a certain database, like, nutritionists have and things like that. I'm not aware of one. But I think it will probably have to be more so, internet searches, word of mouth. Like, I recently found, and I know this is kind of quite different, but then I recently found a holistic doctor here in the area, and I Googled, holistic doctor in Virginia, and I found one that was, like, not in Virginia Beach, not too far from me. So it may have to be where somebody's like, when you ask questions. I know some people will be like, I don't want to ask them where they buy their things from, or, where they like to shop, because I don't want them to think I'm trying to copy their style. Whatever, we're all grown adults. Like, you can ask people, where do you buy your things from? You will be very surprised at how many people actually have personal stylists. So, I think that's a good way, is just to ask questions, and then, attend certain events in your community that might be like fashion related, a style related, might be a fashion show. There's a lot of fashion stylists that attend those type of things. I know me and Jonna usually goes to those in our area, so you can find them that way. And then because we have, social media and Instagram and Twitter, and you can kind of search by hashtags, I think that's another good way to find one, as well as you might just check the hashtag out on Instagram, personal stylist or just stylist, and see what you can find that way.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I think we got all the questions from the chat. So thanks all the people who were watching us live and who asked your questions. Thank you guys so much. And I thank you in advance to everyone who will watch this video in the replay. So before we close all of the way out, you guys shout out your social media and all of that stuff, so that if people are watching live, or even if they're watching this video later on, they know how to get in touch with you guys.
Sure. Well, all of mine is Sarah Moran Nutrition across the board. So the best places to get in touch with me would be YouTube. My channel is Sarah Moran Nutrition. New videos every Tuesday and Thursday. Healthy recipes, healthy eating tips, also questions. If you have a question you want me to make a video about, I do that all the time. And then my Instagram is also, I'm very active on there, so that's also Sarah Moran Nutrition. And if you do want to get more information about my services and working with me one-on-one, then that's sarahmorannutrition.com.
And your Instagram is quite amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Let
me go follow it.
Stalking. The best. She makes me want to, at 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm usually on Instagram, I want to go to a farmer's market. I'm like, I have to find a farmer's market. Where are the farmer's market? But there's actually a farmer's market not far from here. And so I really think I want to get more active in it. They have like somewhat of like a co-op type of thing.
Oh, nice.
You kind of buy into it, and you kind of pick up your food every week for throughout the season. So I've always considered doing it, but I didn't want to be wasteful. And it's just me and my husband. So I'm like, but I think now the way they do it, you can select like how many people you have to feed. So that makes it better, so you're not getting a whole bunch of food that you're not going to, that you're going to end up wasting. And it's a great way to try different things and different types of produce, because some of the things I would see is like rhubarb or like some special type of green bean that they don't sell in the store, you know. So I think that's cool too. So that your Instagram always makes me want to just like eat fruit and eat kale chips.
Good, I'm glad.
All right, Deanna, tell the people where they can.
I'm actually looking at Sarah's Instagram right now. And I was like, oh, she uses this same deodorant that I'm, just started. I switched to. So, but yeah, so I am Naturally Creole on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. I have a Facebook page. And my YouTube is all Naturally Creole. My Twitter is spelled a little bit differently, but I'm sure if you put in Naturally Creole or something similar, you can find it that way. But I'm very active on Instagram. That's probably my favorite social media outlet. So I answer questions as well as my Facebook. On any of them you contact me on, I'll see an answer. I do have a YouTube channel. I am not as consistent as Sarah, so no, you won't get a video every week. 2 days a week. I'm trying to work up to that, but Jesus with 3 kids. So it is, youtube.com/Naturally Creole, and I do have a blog as well, and it is naturallycreole.net. It's not .com, it's not .net. So you can find me there, and if you want to email me, you can go to info@naturallycreole.net or YouTube, or naturallycreole@yahoo.com. So you can go to either one of those and find me. I did have my, stylist rates on my blog. I took them down because I'm trying to reevaluate. But if you have any questions you want to ask about that, just shoot me an email, and of course I will chat with you one-on-one. So yeah, you can find me there.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. It was a pleasure chatting with you guys. And if you ever want to do this again, just let me know. I'm trying to do these once a month. The last one was in April, so I didn't do one in May because INHMD, that event just sucked my whole life. And then my blog was relaunching all in the month of May. So there wasn't going to be one in May. So boom, we got this one in June. So I'm hoping to do these once a month, just different topics. So you guys are welcome back anytime. It's, open. If anybody wants, I can have up to 10 people participate in these. So I'm like, anytime everybody wants to just pop in and just join in one of these, feel free. The last one was about vegan lifestyle. So I thought this was a cool, different kind of spin on the health topic. So thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you all who tuned in live. Cats and Pats and Chelsea and Letitia who asked questions. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.